What is up, guys? Rickakis here, and in today's video we are going to be discussing the definitive guide for how to best get ready for the upcoming Rise of Iron expansions released to Destiny. Now, although nothing in this video is necessarily mandatory, the purpose of this guide is to best ease your transition into the new Rise of Iron expansion and to get you ready as quickly as possible for the new Wrath of the Machine raid coming out September 23rd. Now, pretty much every Destiny YouTuber is going to release a video kind of similar to this, but I thought I'd take my crack at it and hopefully include some information and some tips that aren't available anywhere else. So without further ado, let's get started. And the first thing I want to cover is something that I think a lot of people forget to cover, and it's that a lot of Guardians are still trying to get to that max light level of 335. So what are some tips for advancing your light level as quickly as possible to hopefully reach that max before the Rise of Iron comes out? Because reaching 335 before the Rise of Iron comes out will be important if Destiny plans to, and it's likely to do this, keep the same leveling system, because you simply advance small levels at a time, getting gear that is no more than 5 light levels ahead of you. If you're a higher light level, 335, when you start advancing to that new light level, you're going to have a decent advantage over someone who is starting at a lower light level, let's say 300. Now on to some tips to help you advance your light level as quickly as possible. Firstly, the activities you want to be doing are, number one, the Challenge of Elders. This, by most people's accounts, including my own, is a very easy activity to do. You go in there with a party of only 3 you have to find, and completing the Challenge of Elders activity with 30,000 points is going to get you a guaranteed weapon that is going to drop up to 335 light, and if you get 90,000 points in total in a week, you're going to get that same thing but with an armor piece. Additionally, just completing the Prison of Elders at the end screen, you have a chance to be awarded with exotics that drop all the way up to 335, the Prison of Elders exotics like the Lord of Wolves, and you can also get stuff like ghost shells that also drop with a very high light level. If you are struggling with your light level, I would definitely recommend finding a team, go on an LFG or something, and do the Challenge of Elders, 3 times a week, hopefully only twice a week, so you're able to get that 90,000 reward at least and advance your light level. Another fantastic thing to do is the hard mode King's Fall raid. However, a lot of people, if they're still struggling with light level, are not going to be able to do this effectively and are going to have a hard time getting a team together. So what I would recommend to spend most of your time doing is just do the Heroic Strike playlist. This is an absolutely fantastic way to advance your light level. Aside from the Challenge of Elders, once you're done doing that, definitely spend most of your time in the Heroic Strike playlist. Now, the reason being is because normal loot drops are going to go all the way up to 310, and aside from that, the strike specific loot is going to drop all the way up to the max light level 335. You're going to get one of those probably once every 4 or 5 heroic strikes, and additionally, if you're popping 3 of coins, which I would definitely recommend, you're going to be getting a decent amount of exotic engrams. All of those exotic engrams are also going to decrypt all the way up to 335. You're not even using them necessarily to get the exotics, you're just using them to infuse into your current gear and advance your light level very quickly. And aside from that, the cherry on top is that you're also going to be getting Vanguard rewards and faction rewards for just doing the Heroic Strike playlist. And both of those rewards can drop all the way up to 330 light level. So a huge opportunity to get a ton of high light level gear just from doing the same activity. Now, each of those things on their own, like getting strike exclusive loot, is kind of hard, but all of them combined means that you're getting decently high light gear pretty often. Aside from that, another absolutely huge tip for you guys is involving light level and multiple characters. I know that most of you probably have multiple characters in Destiny. It's definitely the best way to experience the game and to get loot. Now, if you do, you're probably trying to advance all of them to get ready for the upcoming Rise of Iron expansion. Now, the ultimate tip for doing this effectively is to just focus on one. Now that sounds totally counterproductive, I know, but the reason being is because it's going to be a lot easier to just pick one character that whatever one you like the most, let's say you like the Titan the most, main your Titan and just focus on him. Advance his light level as high as you can possibly go. The reason being is because once he gets up into the 330s, he's going to be earning 330 plus gear, and then you can take that gear that you don't necessarily need. Let's say you already have a 335 chess piece, you get another 335 chess piece from the Challenge of Elders or a random exotic or something. You can just transfer that gear to your other characters. You can infuse a Titan chess piece into your Hunter's current chess piece, which is fantastic because, again, it means that if you're focusing on just one character and you get him to as high of a light as possible, all of your extra gear that's going to be dropping at his very high light level, you can just very easily infuse into your other characters. That is much easier and much less time consuming than starting each character and slowly advancing their light levels. So again, if you have multiple characters, focus on one, get that character as high as possible, and then just infuse the leftover gear into all of your other characters. Alright, now let's move on to the next section of this guide, which is how to get Rise of Iron rewards as quickly and as effectively as possible when the DLC comes out. Now, the first thing that a lot of people ask involves engrams. Should I save up my engrams for when the Rise of Iron comes out? And it's actually a very difficult question to answer. Now, the main thing it's important to understand is that if you're saving up engrams and you decrypt them after the Rise of Iron comes out, they are very likely to still decrypt with the old loot table. So if you get a legendary engram the day before the Rise of Iron comes out, and then you don't decrypt it until the Rise of Iron comes out, you know, you've installed it, you can play it, you decrypt that engram, you're still going to get a reward that is the exact same as if you decrypted it before the Rise of Iron ever came out. And that's because the old engrams still belong to the old loot table. In fact, you know, I made a video on this, you can still go back to the original Prison of Elders and you can still get decoherent engrams at the end screen, and those will actually decrypt into year 1 guns, which are very rare, and you might want to go and do that. But in any event, it really illustrates that these engrams don't advance usually with the DLCs coming out. That's been the case for the last 3 expansions in a row, and it's likely to still be the case. However, although you don't actually get new rewards, you might still want to stock up on legendary engrams. And here's why. It involves another technique, which is teetering your factions. Now what this means is that you're going to want to get all of the factions that you can, Gunsmith, Vanguard, Crucible, Dead Orbit, etc., to just about to level up before the Rise of Iron comes out. And the reason for this involves what I just explained. The old stuff is going to stay old, so you want to get the new stuff. So if you're just about to level up your Vanguard, and then the Rise of Iron comes out, you're in the Rise of Iron and you're playing it, and then you turn in, you know, 1 bounty, you're going to level up your Vanguard, you can go to the Vanguard Quartermaster, get that new package, and because you earned that package when the Rise of Iron was out, that package is likely to contain a new weapon or armor piece with the new light level, and perhaps is a new weapon or armor piece altogether. That same scenario is going to work with Dead Orbit, New Monarchy, and Future War Cult. It's unknown whether it's going to work with Gunsmith, for example, but there's no harm in doing that. Like, for my Titan, I'm 1 test weapon away from leveling up my Gunsmith, so I don't really need anything right now. Might as well wait for the Rise of Iron to come out. When it does, you know, the first test weapon I try, I'm going to rank up my Gunsmith instantly and hopefully get a new weapon. Moving on, there's a lot of things that you're going to want to stock up on before the expansion comes out. Number 1, obviously, is legendary marks. Legendary marks are probably still going to be the currency of choice to buy things when the Rise of Iron comes out, and obviously you're going to want to buy new weapons, new armor, whatever, and having a lot of legendary marks, hopefully having that 200 limit before the Rise of Iron comes out, is going to be very useful. Additionally, you can do a lot of things to kind of even more so maximize your legendary armor status and to kind of go into the teetering faction things. Number 1, start saving all of your legendary engrams. Now, again, that kind of sounds weird. You may be thinking, well, they aren't going to be of the new loot system, but the reason being is because if you have a crap ton of legendary engrams, and as soon as the Rise of Iron comes out, you can buy something with your legendary marks, you can decrypt all of your legendary engrams, and although you're going to probably be getting the old weapons, it doesn't matter. You're going to be ranking up your Cryptarch rank while doing that, so hopefully you can get a Cryptarch package which contains some of the new stuff, and you can dismantle all of those legendaries that you've just encrypted and get legendary marks from them. So all of the Taken King legendaries, they give you, 3 legendary marks when you dismantle them. So you actually, a lot of people are saying to make room in your vault space. This is actually not true. You want to shove every single legendary into your vault and your characters before the Rise of Iron comes out, because you're going to want to be dismantling everything, all of that stuff, when the Rise of Iron comes out and after you've bought a new fancy weapon with your legendary marks. Now, of course, we have some time before the Rise of Iron comes out, so if you already have 200 legendary marks, spend that stuff. Spend it so that you can earn it again before the expansion comes out. Now, what should you spend it on? Materials. Guys, this is a huge tip, but you want to max out, not max out, but get a lot of, firstly, planetary materials like helium coils, spin metal, all of that stuff, try to get a decent amount of. And you also want glimmer. You want to be able to get a lot of glimmer. And actually, you want to start saving, those Axion beads, the resupply codes, all of that stuff that when you take it to the Cryptarch, you can decrypt it and get 200 glimmer. Start stocking up on those because you want as much glimmer as possible. Now, why is that? Why do you want glimmer and planetary materials? It's because we kind of forget how much it costs to actually level up new gear. Every time you level up a node, like a perk in a weapon or a perk in an armor piece, that costs glimmer and planetary materials, and a decent amount too, not to mention armor pieces or weapon pieces. So you're going to need a lot of that stuff if all your gear suddenly becomes useless, which it will. You're going to be getting all new gear. You're going to be leveling up all of that all new gear, and you're obviously going to want to get the perks in it too. So you're going to be utilizing a ton of glimmer and a ton of planetary materials as soon as the Rise of Iron comes out. So stock up on that stuff. And again, that also means you're going to be using a lot of weapon and armor materials, so don't turn all of those into your faction as soon as the Rise of Iron comes out, trying to get a new Rise of Iron faction weapon, because you're going to need it to level up your new gear. As for some more things you should stock up on, definitely strange coins comes to mind. You don't really need any of the stuff Xur is really offering right now because it's going to become useless pretty quickly after the Rise of Iron comes out. Now, of course, if you see, an armor piece or a weapon that you've been looking for, of course, spend your strange coins on that. But generally, you want to save those because you're going to want to spend it on the new exotics that are going to be coming with the Rise of Iron, obviously. On that same note, Motes of Light as well. You do want to kind of hold on to your Motes of Light, and the reason for that, and kind of some other stuff that you just want to hold on to pretty much everything you have and save up on pretty much everything. Don't get overspendy before the Rise of Iron comes out. The reason being is because we don't know necessarily what some of the new gear, what some of the new things are going to require to upgrade. It may be that the new artifacts coming with the Rise of Iron need a ton of Motes of Light to upgrade. Like, we just don't know. They might change things like that. So you don't want to get overzealous in spending or getting rid of a certain material that right now you may have an abundance and seems kind of useless, but when the Rise of Iron comes out, suddenly it's very important. Furthermore, you should kind of stock up on bounties that you've completed, especially the bounties like the Trials of Osiris bounties that actually give you legendary marks. It's exactly why, the same reason for saving up all the gear and shoving every legendary into your vault and on your characters is because you're going to be able to turn that into legendary marks as soon as you need it with the Rise of Iron. But additionally, look for the bounties that actually give you blue engrams and planetary materials, because again, when the Rise of Iron comes out, you can can complete them right away whenever you need to and get those materials or those blue engrams and help you out along your way. But you just want to kind of stack up all of your bounties. You want to have all completed bounties in all of your slots, you know, the night before the Rise of Iron comes out, preferably. And again, the reason being is because you can start on your new stuff. The first good weapon you pick up, you can turn in all those bounties, get all those materials, and level up that new weapon that you just got, you know, pretty quickly. So that is definitely a useful thing you can do. And that is everything you need to know to be best prepared for the Rise of Iron expansion. Now, of course, that was an extensive list. I'm going to go over everything I know and I can think of, you know, for this guide. However, don't think that you have to do all of these things before the Rise of Iron comes out. You know, don't think that you have to get to 335. You have to be sitting there with, you know, all bounties complete, you know, all planetary materials, 200 legendary marks, and an inventory bursting with legendaries to dismantle. That would be, you know, the best possible scenario. You'd be the most prepared, but don't try to kill yourself doing that, because if you're playing this game way too much up until the Rise of Iron, you're going to likely get a little sick of Destiny and Rise of Iron won't feel as fresh. So just try to avoid that. There's a lot of awesome games coming out. You know, Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1, all of that stuff is going to be, you know, the betas are coming out for that stuff. So definitely try to take a little bit of breaks from Destiny when you can. I know Dado said this and I would kind of agree with him. Now, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. Now, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.